I'll get my pass. If you wanna get with me, better make it fast.
Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. This is my first DIY, so please leave feedback and tell me what you think. For this DIY, I'm going to be making this pretty little satin skirt with a fur trim. This skirt is inspired by one that I saw on Glitter for Dinners. It's one of my favourite stores, so you guys should definitely go and support them. I'll link them in the description. But I thought it would be fun to have a go at making one. And not all of GFD's prices are affordable to the everyday person, so I thought this would be a good alternative. So to start, you're going to take your waist measurements, then your hip measurements, and this could be in centimetres or inches depending on what you prefer. Your low hip measurements, which is right around your bootay. Keep in mind the seam allowances for the waistband and the bottom hem of the skirt. Then measure from your waist to your hip, and then measure out how long you want your skirt to be. To draft your pattern, take all of your measurements and divide them in half. I'm taking another couple of centimetres off because my paper isn't quite wide enough. You're dividing your measurements in half because this pattern will be on the fold. Again, remember your seam allowances and your dart allowance, which together should give you another inch or two. I'm then marking out all of my measurements onto the paper, and I'm going around and filling in the dots to make it look like the skirt pattern. I then positioned my darts. I came about 3 inches across, but if I were to do this again, I'd move the darts another inch along. You can do this with observation if you don't want to do the math side, but I'd advise them to be positioned about 1/4 of the way across. There's plenty of videos out there to teach you how to draft darts. I then cut the pieces out of the fabric. If you haven't included your seam allowance in your pattern like I did, remember to add about 2 centimetres on before cutting out your pieces. I also marked my darts onto the fabric just by cutting a triangle above the slit that I made on the paper, and then I drew out the darts to the length that I wanted, which was, I think, maybe 5 inches. I cut out 4 skirt pieces, 2 for the lining, 2 for the front, and 4 for the waistband. You could just use 2 waistband pieces, but I just went for 4. Remember to cut your waistband on the fold. Pin your darts in place and it should look like this. I then run a simple stitch down the dart. If you've never sewn a dart before, as I said, there's many tutorials to teach you how to do it, but you're going to sew down the 2 side lines, not the middle one. And don't backstitch. Instead of backstitching, leave the threads loose and tie them off. This will make your darts flatter and look neater, which is important when you're using a dainty fabric like satin. Once you've finished with the darts on both skirt pieces, sew up the sides. Onto the waistband. Take your 2 waistband pieces, unfolded, and sew them together at the sides. Once you've done that, you're going to flip the waistband inside out and pull the skirt right side up through the band. Sew a stitch along the top. Then flip the band in half, and to hide the seam, fold the back side over about 2 centimetres and stitch along the seam you've just made. This just gives it a bit of a professional finish. And if you have a waistband lining, just do the same, just run a stitch along the top of the waistband. And then for a zipper, mine was about 5 inches long. I'd advise maybe 6 inches long just so you get more room in the skirt. And then I just sewed the zipper in with a zipper foot. And then for the final touch, add some fur. This fur trim is from eBay for just £1. You can either hand sew this, but if you want the faster way, run a zigzag stitch along the wire in the middle of the trim, over the hemline of the skirt, and you're done. I think this is super cute for festivals or parties, or if you plan on dressing like Baby Spice on your average day. And the total cost to this project was just £5.50, including fabric, the zipper and the trim. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed this DIY. And if you have done this DIY, drop me a comment below or tag me on Instagram at Tinkerbrie. I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!